I have been itching to make another animated short, or at least animated fight scene, on PopCross Studios for a while now. And then, the other day, lo and behold, ZHC comes to me with a project. Specifically looking for an animated fight scene. That was convenient. He wanted to pay me to spend 24 hours on a piece of art based off of one of 5 thumbnail sketches that he sent to me and a bunch of other artists. Kind of like the last video of his I was involved with, him paying artists to finish his artwork, but this one was like on a much bigger scale. And not only was I obviously excited to be doing another video for Zach and to be doing an animated fight scene, but it was an interesting challenge to see what I could actually animate in 24 hours. Not in a row, by the way, 24 hours split over a few days. And turns out, it was more than I thought. I'd estimated like a minute, and I got closer to 2 minutes. But we'll get to the end at the end. The very first step was character design and concept. One of the options that Zach sent over was his original character Dax fighting anybody of our choice, and I immediately knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to have Dax fighting Turkey. Turkey being the little plush punching bag that Zach has in all his videos. I figured I'd give Turkey a chance to punch back. So I mocked up a rig of Giga Turkey, which is what I refer to as this sort of turkey but mutated to look kind of like the Abomination from Marvel. I was thinking the comic version, but you know, looks a bit like the movie version too. But he doesn't have those pointy ears. I like the pointy ears. Once I designed and rigged up Giga Turkey, I had to move on to Dax, which I didn't have to design anything for him, but there were still complications because he had more like flowy bits to him. He had his hair is in a bit of a ponytail, he's got a long flowing tongue, he's got a loincloth. I ended up actually doing away with the loincloth because I thought it was just going to be a bit too much, a bit too complicated. It wasn't really adding too much to the animation, but the tongue and the hair were a fun challenge. The tongue I ended up rigging up so that it could go into his mouth and kind of hide away so I wouldn't have to animate it all the time, but of course the hair, I couldn't do something like that. And I actually really liked having the hair as a way to sort of accent his movements. It almost worked kind of like speed lines when you're drawing a character for an illustration. I could like stretch it out longer for when he was moving really fast to just accent the fact that he's moving really quickly. I think it was one of the better elements of the animation. It also helped sell the kind of turnarounds because I only have one version of the character, so when they turn it's really quick, and the hair kind of helped that look a little bit more natural. After about 4 hours of work, the rigs were all built, the characters were good to go, and I moved on to the background design. Based on Zach's drawings of Dax and just his drawings in general, I kind of pictured Dax living in a sort of post-apocalypse kind of world. So I mocked up a background that had a couple like destroyed buildings and just lots of rocks and rubble, and it was like a little bit of faded street lines so it looked a bit like a street. And then I also made some distant mountain sort of rocks that I could parallax the movement of so that the world would feel a little bit more 3D. I also built some other elements away from the background that I could add in later that I knew I'd want the characters to interact with, like a bunch of rocks, a barrel of toxic waste, that would be an important part of the story, and then a like sort of chain ball thing that Dax could use that's like the weapon that ZHC always draws him using. I couldn't have him using it for the whole fight because it's kind of complicated to animate and would take too much time in the time frame I have, but I knew I had to have it in there, and it was probably one of my favorite parts of the fight. Six hours in, and it was time to animate the fight. Well, okay, not quite the fight. I needed an intro. I wanted there to be a bit of a story to this. I didn't want to just have them fighting right off the bat. I wanted a bit of a reason for them to get into this scrap. So I added in this character that was sort of just a rejigged version of a like ice skeleton guy that I'd made for my Mrs. Claus episode back in December. I kind of turned it red and made it look like it fit into the world a little bit more. And I don't know why, but I referred to this character as Betty while I was working. Anyway, we start on Betty jumping down into the scene, meeting Turkey, and they have a little, like, unexpectedly pleasant interaction, and then Dax just flies in out of nowhere and beats the hell out of Betty. She shatters into a whole bunch of bones. I kind of made Dax a bit of a bully in this video. Sorry about that, Zach, but I thought it was kind of, like, fun and worked comedically in it. But anyway, so then Dax comes over to Turkey, gives him a nice swift kick, and he flies into a vat of toxic waste. And that is how we get Giga Turkey, and that is how we get into the fight. 11 hours in, and we were on to the main attraction, animating the actual fight between Dax and Giga Turkey. And this part was a lot of fun. I really like animating fight scenes, and the way I usually go about this, I kind of improvise a little bit. I map out the main story beats that I want to hit, and then I just go with the flow, and whatever comes to mind, I just animate that into the fight, which usually ends up being a lot of flips. A lot of flips, and a lot of kicks. A lot of kicks and flips. The 4 things I knew I wanted to have happen were Dax using the chain ball, Turkey throwing a boulder at Dax, Dax getting a sweet series of blustering kicks on Turkey, and then Turkey winning the fight. Well, sort of. I also decided that I wanted the 2 characters to have different fighting styles because they're pretty different sizes. For Dax, I almost made him a bit like Batroc the Leaper from Captain America Winter Soldier. I mean, he's in the comics too, but, you know, can show a movie clip. Anyway, so I had Dax doing more like kicks and being a lot more agile and flipping around a lot more and using agility as one of his main weapons. With Turkey, I made him a lot more, you know, hulking, because that's kind of how he looks, and a lot of his attacks are much more like fist slams and stomping and like just like lots and lots of Hulk smash kind of moves. And that was a fun dynamic for the fight. Also, you'll notice I have a bunch of like dust pops and impact effects and ground cracks. That's a whole bunch of stuff that I animated a while back, knowing that I'd be doing a whole bunch of animated fight scenes on PopCross Studios. So I animated all those EFX months and months ago, and I just reuse them in my videos because it's stuff that comes up a lot. They really help accent hits, along with a little bit of a camera shake. That always does a good job helping sell a hit. Then for the duration of the animating, there wasn't really too many problems. At about 22 hours, I was finished animating the actual fight, and there were only 2 things that, if I had a few more hours, I would have wanted to fix. One of them is I would have wanted to give Turkey a better series of final blows. Like, his victory seems a little bit too quick after Dax got his huge series of kicks landed. But that's not too big of a problem. The other thing that bothers me a bit more as an animator is at about 20 seconds in, Dax has a pretty janky walk cycle, and I really wish I could have fixed that more. I just didn't have time. Look at that! Look at those feet sliding around as he moves. Shame on me. But yeah, after 22 hours, I moved into sound design. I have a subscription for a bunch of music, but I wasn't really sure how that would work, having Zach show my animation in his video. So just to be safe, I only used music from YouTube's collection of copyright-free music. It's not a bad collection, there's some good stuff in there. And sound effects wise, I've collected a whole bunch of sound effects over the years, but my base is always a collection of sounds that I downloaded from Final Cut King years and years ago. I haven't watched this video in ages, I don't know if he's still going. But yeah, just a big collection of good like hit and fight sounds. Then, at what admittedly was more like 24 and a half hours, I wrapped up the fight and sent it off to Zach. And not only did he say he really, really liked it, he paid me 3 times what I asked for. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much, Zach. That was so awesome. And now, without further ado, let's take a look at the fight. Now, I hope you enjoyed that, but if you haven't already, go watch Zach's video as well, because so many incredible artists submitted artwork for the video. It's so cool to see. It's a really fun vid. I'll link it in the card. Go check it out. And if you want to see more of my side-scroller fight animations and animated short films, I've got a playlist of them linked somewhere. They're on my channel. Got a Pokemon one, Spider-Man in the Mario Kingdom, got a few fun ones, and there's gonna be more in the future. And of course, check out a bunch of my art videos. I've got tutorials, I've got mashups, and once a month I do a community redraw episode where, based on a theme, I take a bunch of submitted artwork from subscribers and redraw it in my style, and it becomes the background for the next month. This month's theme is wow, that's hard to say. This month's theme is Spider-Sonas. So if you want to submit one, go to the Discord linked below and send it to the Characters for Pop channel, or send it over to popcrossanimations@gmail.com. Once again, thank you so much to Zach. It's always an honor working with you. And thank you so much to everybody who took the time to watch this video and to check out some of my other videos. Also, leave a like if you enjoyed yourself. Alright everybody, I'm Christian Pearson. This is PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.